rolling in your
Yeah.
what a surprise, right? So like my consequences for my what really amounts to my bottom and like what brought me into recovery was the threat of we'll bring this to police, whatever, or you can go and maybe get help, but you're definitely expelled.
Right. So you had been faced with the likelihood of going to jail for something.
Potentially. I
Right.
mean, whether they would follow through on it, who knows?
They could press charges, though.
Right.
They
They
had the
could. Yeah.
option.
They had the drugs. They were in my room, my property. They went in with like public security and a bunch of stuff. So like they had it.
You
They
were
knew.
busted.
Yeah. Um and I had been it's not that I wanted to get clean, but one of those options seemed a lot more gentle than the others, right? Like family had high expectations of me and all that sort of thing growing up. So I lied to my mom and told her that I needed help and that there wasn't anything like looming over me quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
And by this point, my dad had been in another fellowship for a few years on and off, and I'd grown up in a separate fellowship for family members
Mm-hmm.
of people who are active addicts, right? So there was certain terminology that she'd responded to in a positive manner. I went away. I went to inpatient. They brought me to an NA meeting, said the Serenity Prayer, and I felt like home.
Mm.
And that didn't mean I stayed clean from that day, but that was the start, right? It took about another 4 or 5 months after that for me to like bouncing in and out of meetings, using on the weekends, thinking I could be a weekend warrior, something like that. And eventually I just stayed clean.
So the seed was planted. It
Yeah.
took you a little while of ping ponging,
Yeah.
but in the grand scheme of things, right, 4 to 5 months is not a long time, right?
No.
Some people go out for years and some people don't make it back.
Yeah.
So you got lucky.
Yeah. I think one of the things that kept me clean was something that I'd shared about that I think back to pretty frequently. I'd went to a men's meeting and I'm this 18-year-old kid and my mom was dropping me off at meetings because I was too busy getting high to get my license, right? um, I was really lucky at this point to have at least one parent who was willing to support my recovery, and she would bring me to meetings. And she brought me to this men's meeting because an active addict father your entire life isn't the best like male role model or anything like that, and I knew I needed a sponsor. So I found this men's meeting just outside my hometown. And when I get there, this guy comes up to me and is like, "Are you sure you're in the right place? You know this is a men's meeting, right?"
You're an
And
18-year-old man.
I mean, I was a kid. I was 18. I had, I was still in and out. Like I wasn't really clean yet, and like I couldn't grow a beard, but I was definitely a man. Like I knew I was at a men's meeting on purpose, and that put a chip on my shoulder. That I was like, "Fuck you, man! Like I'm gonna show up here every week and show you what the fuck is up, and like prove to you that like I belong here."
Yeah.
And like for me, that was one of the things that got me clean early on as a kid. Like at 18, like there was like the repercussions, but I didn't care that much at that point about like I'd already been expelled. I'd like avoided any jail time. I took my sentencing basically of like getting expelled and went to the inpatient, and after that I was fine from that side. But staying clean at that point was about proving other people wrong,
Right.
and that's it.
And so was this back home
Yeah.
in Massachusetts?
Yeah, this was outside Boston. The funny thing about this person is that I came to find out that they got clean at 16
Mm.
too. Like they were also a kid in recovery, and at that point they had, I think, like 16 or 17 years clean.
Wow.
And I guess there's still a bit of a chip on my shoulder if I still think about it 12 and a half years later too. Sometimes it is that like it doesn't have to, for me at least, it wasn't always the love of the program. Sometimes it was just that I'm an angsty little teenager and I needed to
Rebel.
rebel. I needed to show someone what's up.
Right.
And like this was at least a positive way in which I could channel that energy.
Right. Maybe he knew that. Have you ever thought about that? That he like challenged you in that way to make you come back to say, "Hey, are you sure you're in the right place? This is for men."
Yeah, not really, honestly. Uh,
Maybe he knew what he was doing because if he was a teenager in recovery, maybe he knew that that's what you needed.
that's a really good point. Yeah. I've always just looked at it as this like screw you, my dude, but he very well could have. Yeah. He knows what people need.
Yeah, he could have given you the ammunition that he might have needed too to come
Right.
back.
Yeah.
So he might have very well intentionally done it
Yeah.
to put a fire under your ass, really.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's a really beautiful frame of reference to look at it from. Like, I love one of the greatest gifts of recovery for me is getting to meet all of these people that have such a different experience in life than me. Getting clean young, I only knew how to use drugs basically. Like, my parents didn't pay bills. My parents, I mean, they did the best that they could, but I didn't know how to be a human being, let alone a productive member of society. I feel like even now I'm still learning for the first time all of these different things. So, like, turning that on its side just enough like that for something that I've been living with for, 12 years and I've written step work multiple times on. Um, that's a brand new perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I look forward to you exploring that in your mind's eye and, thinking about that. So tell me what it was like to be a teenager in recovery and be so young in these rooms that are, filled with people who have come into recovery later on in their lives or have been clean for a while, right? We have a bunch of predecessors in these rooms. Tell me what it was like to, most often be the youngest person in the room.
It was pretty lonely. It was the other thing that I would hear all the time is that I've got the world by the balls from all these people that would, you know, have as much clean time as I do now, married with kids, full careers, like you're saying. I would go home to my childhood bedroom and they would go home and have other responsibilities, whether they're just getting clean or with decades clean. It was a very solitary experience for me. At this time, it was 2012 when I was first making meetings, 2013 when I stayed clean. There wasn't a lot of young people around. There would be people around like 22 to 25. Massachusetts drug court is huge there, so there's a lot of people in programs and halfway houses and stuff. But that's mandated, mandated to be at meetings too, and that is the membership of a lot of Massachusetts meetings is people in some sort of program, right? But that's a very different experience than living at home without a job, never really having worked, um,
And wanting to be clean
and wanting to be clean.
as opposed to being forced.
Right. Like I was there by my own volition. I was there getting picked up by my mom in her in her car, like waiting outside the meeting, waiting to get out, just like it's getting picked up from school in fifth grade, right? It was an exercise in we talk about like looking for the winners, right? I was looking for the people that could share in a meeting and didn't totally change up their game when they walked out of the meeting. I knew that I wanted to get clean, stay clean. I didn't see another option, and I knew that for me this was what mattered, so it really drove me to finding not even people to hang out with. Like I've kind of always just done my thing, but for those 90 minutes and then the 20 minutes before and after the meeting, make sure that I'm there. I spent a lot of time standing in conversations but not participating and bumming cigarettes and asking to like get a ride to Dunks to get a coffee before the meeting. But I kind of just sat there and watched and observed because I didn't know how to participate. I was too busy getting high to play sports in high school. I didn't have my own cable TV, so like I wasn't watching the Bruins as much as I wanted to watch the Bruins. I couldn't watch the Bruins, so like I didn't have friends either. All of my friends that I'd had were still using or they were off at college. So I would basically just sit at home all day and wait for a meeting. And that was the one thing that I looked forward to every single day.
So I can see how being in the rooms can be isolating,
Yeah.
right? Because you're so young and you can't really connect with people. And then, of course, you're connecting with people outside of the rooms who are your age, who are all drinking,
Mm-hmm.
they're all smoking, they're all partying.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine how isolating that must have been outside of the rooms, too. Not being able to connect to your peers
Mm-hmm.
who were in a very different headspace than you were. You had made a commitment to
Mm-hmm.
yourself to stay clean, and these people don't even know what that concept is, right? The
Yeah.
concept of surrender.
Yeah. Looking back, there were people that I could have had in my life that were my age that didn't go down the path that I'd went down, but I didn't know that they existed. They were so far out of my view. But the people that I did know, people, places, and things, I was so deathly afraid of going back to where I was. I was so sure that the next one would take me out that like I couldn't find that common ground. It's something that took many years of like dedicated effort to get to. And at this point in my life, thank God I've done the step work and like set my expectations with those sorts of relationships that I can engage with others, that most of the world can go and have a drink at dinner and
Mm-hmm.
be okay. And to get to the point that I'm okay with that took time. But at 18, like it meant I didn't go out to dinner with friends. I wasn't going to bars for me, for this addict. Like that was what I knew I needed to do to stay clean, and it was worth the isolation from those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it just took continuing to show up and people being like, "Oh, this kid's not leaving, huh?" And it took like 4 or 5 months. And once I like had a little bit of clean time, I started to get welcomed into the meetings and actually like get and use phone numbers. And it still meant that relationships were deepened around the structure of meetings because everyone else had lives and jobs and kids, right? So they weren't available 24/7. But for that time around the meetings, it meant that I had a place to be. And it meant that I had a place that I could call home and be a part of.
So at some point, you get clean, you stay clean, and decide to go back to school.
Yeah. Um, so at around 7 or 8 months clean, other than staying clean, the one thing I did right was take suggestions. After inpatient, I took suggestions to go to partial, which is like 5 days a week from like 8 to 5 p.m. partial hospitalization. And from there, I graduated to an IOP, intensive outpatient program. So that was like a group setting, very similar to meetings, but with a doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist kind of mediating the group sessions. Through all of that, I had documentation of like furthering recovery, and also I was getting tested still every week, multiple times a week throughout that entire process. So at that point, I had 7 or 8 months, and I talked to the program director to ask about potentially exploring returning to school. We reached back out to the school that had thrown me out. I got letters from every program I'd been in. I had all of the clean tests to prove that I was still clean, and had reached out to the school and said basically, what can I do? I'm committed to staying clean. Here's all the proof of all of the work that I've done. I even got my sponsor to write something. It's still anonymous, but like it wasn't my handwriting, and it wasn't, you know, he writes differently than I do, enough to tell that it's different, that I'm engaged in recovery. And through a bunch of conversations, they gave me the opportunity to potentially come back. It had to align in their side of things. If someone dropped out of school and there's an empty list, an empty seat, my spot was gone, right? But if something opened up, they would consider me. And by the grace of my higher power, like they did have the option. Someone vacated essentially, and I had the chance to return. And then they said, you can return, but I had to do similar things. I had to get tested once to twice a week, at first twice a week, and then once a week. I had to live my first year on a floor with other people that were mostly abstaining from drugs and alcohol for religious reasons.
Mm.
But it was supposed to create a community that at least
Fostered recovery.
fostered, not even recovery, but just fostered
Abstinence.
some
Yeah.
distance, we'll
Yeah. Yeah.
say. Not because most of the people on the floor just used going to this specific floor because it was in a nice building and as a way to like have a nice place to live. The apartments were a little nicer, so a lot of people kind of just gamed the system. But they gave me the option. If I followed all of these rules and if I stayed clean and if I continued to receive help in New York, you're welcome back.
So that gave you motivation to stay clean once you got back.
Yes, it did. Going to school, it was an expectation that was given to me. It wasn't necessarily something that I owned and, you know, a dream that I had. I operated under the assumption that other people had the expectation of me, that you got the world by the balls, kid sort of thing from people in recovery,
Mm-hmm.
made sure I had to succeed, have a hell of an opportunity. I can't throw it away.
So tell me what it was like leaving your recovery home in Massachusetts and coming to New
Mm-hmm.
York and entering into recovery in this area.
Yeah. It was a long conversation with my sponsor. We decided that we would stay working together. I got a lot of phone calls with people. And the first thing I did the night that I came back to school, instead of blacking out the night before and waking up to the drug of choice in my backpack, I went to a meeting the very first night I moved in. When I moved in, I made sure that like you get assigned a random roommate. I told my roommate what was up. I was like, "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm an addict." Self-identifying, but like I made sure that everyone knew where I was at, and don't you dare I protected my recovery was my identity. It was the only thing that mattered more than school. And the first thing I did was I made a meeting. I met some people. I treated it like I was a newcomer all over again, right? I had to meet people. I had to build a network. I did all the same things I did when I'd first gotten clean all over again.
And you didn't even have a year yet at this point, right?
Just about 9 or 10 months, yeah.
So you're under your miracle year,
Yeah.
transplanting yourself. You are a newcomer.
Yeah.
Right? You're building yourself anew. Tell me what it was like to get to that first year clean.
Crazy. I was 19, celebrating a year clean, and hadn't not used for more than a week in the previous 6 years. Ego took over a bit. I celebrated in Boston and I celebrated in New York. I had a home group in both places. I wanted everyone to be like, Dave, you're so amazing. Um, I had my parents come to my first celebration. I had both of them show up. My dad managed to stay clean for the day to not be drunk at the meeting. It was such a high. And I was like, oh, I want this again. And like I chased the key tags.
Mm-hmm.
I had the keychain. Some people do it where they have all the
All of
colors
them.
in a row. And I was like, all right, I can glow in the dark now. Now I need the battleship gray and then I need black and gold. And it was just like I kept, and even today, like I just love that idea of like having this thing to hold on to that like I need to chase this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that black and gold key tag was the thing that I had to chase. And I even had like my roommates from the dorm I was in come to see what it was about at my celebration in New York. They were the people that were in a similar situation, mandated and attraction rather than promotion. I told them that I was getting a year clean, and they're like, oh, are you having a party? I was like, yeah, my celebration at my home group, at my NA meeting, and brought them. And one of them has come in and out of the rooms for the last decade, and the other one is in another fellowship with a whole bunch of time clean now too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you celebrate your first year clean at 19. You stay clean throughout college. You're
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by people, places, and things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so tell me about staying clean in that type of environment where literally
Mm-hmm.
I would say 90%, if not more,
Yeah.
are people who are using, right?
Yeah. It was one of the toughest things I've ever done. It made relationships hard early in recovery. It made meeting people hard. Like that's how people meet each other in college. It's
Over a beer,
over
right?
a beer. Um, or even like, oh, after class, like, what do you want to do? Let's go to the bar. I
Right.
wasn't going to the bar.
So your social life was probably just a little bit hampered.
A little bit hampered. I focused it on school. I found a subject that I really cared about, that I liked, that I enjoyed. I built connection with others there. And I built connection with others through other interests, really. Even at 18, 19, and then up through the rest of college, I wasn't as close with other people in the rooms that weren't in college. What I did find was a young people's meeting in the city that no longer exists, unfortunately. But there was like 7 or 8 of us that were all around college age. That became my home group. That became my holy grail. All of those people are still very close friends. We travel the world to go and see heavy metal bands together
Amazing.
these days. So like working on those relationships was the focus, and staying out of the dorms as much as I could. After that first year, I was in it. I was in the dorms with everyone else and thrown to the wolves a bit. And when I met people, I said, hi, I'm Dave. Either I'm an addict or I don't drink, or I'm
Get it out of the
just get
way.
it out of the way. Right. And if you don't fuck with it, then I don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like, you live your life, you're good. I'll live mine. I'll go the other way.
So at some point you arrive at your 21st birthday, and here in the US, because we have listeners from all over the world, in the US, at the age of 21, you are legally able to consume and buy alcohol.
Yep.
You can show up to, the corner store
Mm-hmm.
and flash your ID and say, I'm walking out with, this case of beer.
Yeah.
So you arrive at your 21st birthday without that much awaited, legal
Mm-hmm.
ability to get drunk.
Yeah.
So tell me what that was like, not celebrating and getting
And
plastered
getting
and getting drunk.
at this point, like I would always joke, the only drugs I could do were caffeine and nicotine.
Those are the
So
drugs of choice of NA,
right,
anyways.
yes. Uh, so at that point, I was smoking a lot of cigarettes. Like I think I mean, I'm glad I quit just because of how expensive they are now. But like,
God.
I was smoking like over a pack a day at the time, and like that was also how I met people, honestly, in college, right? So I remember for my 21st birthday, we got cigars. I was back home because my birthday's in the summer, so I thankfully wasn't in a school environment at the time. I was back home. I think it must have just been either a Tuesday or a Wednesday night based on who I was with. Like I would go home and I would make the same meetings, I would do the same thing, hang out with the same people, not in a bad way, but like that's my network, right? I picked where we went out to dinner that night and I smoked a shit ton of cigarettes and wondered why I felt like shit the next day. And I appreciate it because I did my best to make it just another day
Hmm.
because in the back of my head, I had made it such a big deal in my head. I should be
Everybody does.
drinking, right?
Everybody does.
And I try to live by that, like fake it till you make it. Like bring the body and the mind will follow. Like don't make it a big deal. Pick where you want to go to dinner. Make the normal jokes that I make with my friends, and just do the thing and get through it. And I did, and I woke up the next day, and it was just another day, and I was another day clean.
And it gives you a lot more street cred to be able to say, hey, I stayed clean through my 21st birthday
Yeah,
and, didn't pick up a drink.
yeah. I've never had a legal drink. It's funny now. I mean, I have friends outside of the rooms too, right? And they're like, "Oh, we'll go out to dinner or something," and they'll get fancy cocktails or something. And they're like, "Oh, you never had this liquor, or you don't know what this is?" I'm like, I've never paid attention to it because the only things that I drank were PBRs and Coors Light. Like I was just trying to get fucked up. I didn't care about quote unquote good alcohol or
Right?
anything. It was just give me more.
You were not a sommelier. You were
No,
just trying to get plastered.
just get right. What gets me drunk the fastest was the only thing that mattered. And what I mean, at 15, it's not like I was
Who knows quality when they're 15,
right,
right? Nobody's
right.
looking at this wine and being like, oh, it's Sauvignon Blanc. Perfect. Like,
So it is funny going out with normal people now and me trying to pick what people should drink or something like that. Just as a fun, we try to have fun with it now.
right.
Um, I'll order the grape juice, thank you.
I'll
Yeah,
have some bubbly water.
yes, a
Um,
lot of seltzers.
a lot of seltzers, a lot of seltzers. So, having gotten clean so young, I'm sure that the first meaningful relationship that you had was after you were clean.
Yeah, yeah. I was too busy getting high to give anything to any other person other than my dealer. I didn't have a good playbook for what a healthy relationship looked like. No one in my family, extended or otherwise, like had a healthy relationship. And I jumped into one pretty soon after I moved back to school because sex sounded like a great thing to be my next drug of choice. And it certainly was. We were a horrible match, and she cheated on me, and I was having sex, so I didn't really care.
Also a cure for the loneliness too,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah. Like someone to go home to after a meeting or, just a warm body. Amazing. That's all I fucking wanted.
Right.
Um, but at that point, that was my world, right? I'd lost the drugs. I didn't have the biggest network in NA at the time. I didn't have a ton of friends at school. So like someone who wants to hang out with me and like be intimate with, hell fucking yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I put up with a ton of stuff that I would never put up with today. That relationship, like thankfully she ended that relationship because I never would have probably. I went full headlong into the codependency immediately.
As many addicts do.
Right. Yeah. Like you're my world and I'm going to make myself your world.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was to have a healthy relationship until 5 or 6 years clean. And that took a bunch of step work. That took asking other people in the rooms like how they handled arguments, right? It's the same. I'm one of the greatest opportunities that I had getting clean young is being comfortable being like, I don't know how to fucking do this thing. I didn't know how to pay rent. I didn't know how to go food shopping. I didn't know how to cook chicken when I got clean because like my mom made boxed mac and cheese and pickles wrapped in deli ham. Like that was what we ate. I didn't have any shame associated with not knowing how to do these things because I knew that I didn't have any way to learn them. So I asked for help and then I didn't listen to the help. And then I eventually learned to listen.
Well, isn't the fellowship so great? Because there's so many people that say, watch and learn in a way that's not condescending, right? There's so many
Mm,
people that say, like, have me as your example
yeah.
without making you feel like stupid for not knowing.
Yeah.
There's so many people that will teach you the things that you never learned
Mm-hmm.
in the rooms. So I love the fellowship for that specific reason because we are able to learn from each other.
It really is a gift that I can't understate enough. Like the wealth of knowledge that is available, just, even if it's someone that I don't like, that we just hear in our home group and share every week, or even if it's not our home group, even if it's just a meeting in our area and it's another addict in our area that we see regularly, there's things that I can learn because it's things I don't want to do
Right.
or experiences I don't want to have. And how can I avoid that experience? Or vice versa, if they're having great success, whether it's romantically, in their jobs, in their recovery, as a sponsor, as a sponsee, anything like that.
How can I achieve that?
Yeah.
A wealth of knowledge in the rooms. So grateful. So tell me a bit about what it's been like to age in recovery. Now, having,
Mm-hmm.
gotten past those first couple of years and the growing pains of being a younger person in NA.
It's been a weird experience. I've watched myself no longer be the youngest person in the rooms. I've watched a bunch of young people enter the rooms, especially pre-COVID, and then COVID shook everything up, and then it's given me the opportunity to be at least a decent example in some areas of life, right? That I can show for other people, like whether it's sponsorship or just by being present, by being around. I think it's true for anyone that gets clean and stays involved in the fellowship that there's a bunch of chairs when I go into meetings that will never get filled again. I try to keep that front of mind. I'm eligible to. Like one wrong decision and it can take me out. And it just becomes more and more imperative for me that I keep this going because I don't want to be another one of those people that like someone thinks of twice a year.
On their birthday and their death day.
Yeah. The other thing is that I don't like I need to sleep now, which is unfortunate. Like
Need
yeah,
is the key word.
need like there's not a choice anymore. Um, it's been learning how to take care of myself. It's been asking for help in all new ways. Like, how do I go to a doctor? How do I find a new primary care? Right? Even in college, like, there's things that kind of get taken care of for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have doctors. You just go to the university health clinic
Right.
and it's all set. How do I sign up for health insurance? And to have a friend, because I was too afraid to ask a coworker, the first time I got a job was be on the phone with a friend who I know has had a job and had health insurance before and walk me through what the fuck health insurance is because I don't fucking know.
What is a
What? Yeah,
PPO? What's an
yeah.
HMO?
What's an HSA versus an FSA? Like I'm paying this much more for this? Are you fucking kidding me?
What is this 401k business?
The other thing that's happened is I've watched a lot of people I get clean with have kids and learn how to be parents for the first time.
Mm.
And my life, I'm 31 now, and I'm not a parent yet. But I've watched other people go through that and watch them age and watch them be parents. It kind of feels like I'm always playing catch up with those friends. Not in a bad way, but it just means that they're people that I will turn to in my future again.
When you
Keep that
need
same
guidance
pattern.
at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you're not immune to what I've experienced, which is watching people die
Mm-hmm.
from this disease throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost count, whether it be friends or family members or the like. What was that like for you to be clean and to watch this opioid crisis, right? Like
Yeah.
rise up and swell and take over people.
The context for me particularly is when I started using, part of why I started using the drugs I started using was that my friends would say that they'd used these drugs and I wouldn't feel a part of. And so I would go and use them. And then I'd find out after I had it that that they were lying about it and they just wanted to be cool. But I went and used it and I kept going, right? A lot of those kids now that were just smoking and drinking at the time are now using the drugs that they said they were using that I went and used. And they're still out there. And like I've lost a bunch of those people. The reality is that I had, by the time that I started losing those people, I'd already lost friends in recovery
Mm.
10
To the
times over
disease.
to the disease, 10 times over, 100 times over. And I try to show up and be a power example for the friends that are still around. But at first, like the first time I lost a friend to the disease, it didn't make me want to use, but it made me want to just explode, right? Like I was just an absolute anxious, unconscionable wreck. The sad reality is that like loss is a reality of being a member of Narcotics Anonymous. And at some point, I'm not numb to it at all, but I've accepted that it's going to be a part of my life. And with acceptance just comes for me, like I need to share about it. I need to reach out to the people that are still around, be that power of example, be that person who's willing to, in grief, bring another addict to a meeting that needs a meeting. I just want to be there for when they do need the help and know that I'm here if they want it.
Unfortunately, relapse is a part of recovery, and it steals so many people inside and outside the rooms from us. So the only thing that we can really do is, like you said, be the best example that we can be, lead by that example, and make ourselves available for that newcomer or the person that's just wanting to come back. And I'm thankful that you were able to share this perspective with us.
Getting clean was the best decision that I ever made. Getting clean young did give me opportunity, but really, I'm another addict on the bus. I was another addict on the bus at 18 years old with one day clean, as I am now, officially in my 30s and with a few more than 24 hours. But at the end of the day, I only have from when I wake up this morning until I go to bed tonight.
It's important to have that perspective, I think. Keeps your recovery fresh, and it keeps you thirsty for the program, wanting to help the newcomer. Because we can all relate to that newcomer with having just today, you know? So thank you for giving so graciously your time and your energy and your story, sharing it with so many people. I genuinely hope that somebody hears this. If they are young and saying I'm too young, I haven't even taken my first legal drink, that they see that it's survivable, can get through life clean.
We can.
And all of your 20s clean.
And and hopefully all of your 30s
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
This works.
Yeah, it works if you work it. I wish you the best.
Thank
You
you
so much,
well.
David.
Thank you.
The Voices of Recovery podcast is an independent production of the Works of Wisdom. We welcome your questions and donations via PayPal at voicesofrecoverypod@gmail.com. This podcast is an independent production and is not affiliated with, associated with, authorized by, endorsed by, or in any way officially connected with Narcotics Anonymous or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. While NA literature may be read during episodes for the purpose of supporting recovery, such use does not constitute an official endorsement or representation by Narcotics Anonymous. In accordance with NA tradition, the NA name is not to be used to endorse or be affiliated with any outside enterprise, and no such endorsement or affiliation is implied. Music is by Sage. Thanks for listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast.